Hi, my name is Kevin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I wanted to talk a little bit about machining solid wood. When you machine solid wood, what you want to do is get the board to be parallel on both sides and perpendicular to the two edges so that your wood is perfectly square all the way around. And the first machine that you start with is the joiner. So after you come back from the lumber yard and you've selected the wood that you're going to use, the first thing you want to do is to come to this machine and get a flat face on the wood. And the way that that happens is that there's two beds on this machine and a set of cutter knives in the middle. This bed is adjustable up and down, and this one stays flat. So what you're going to do is you put the board down here on this table, you run it across the knives, and then it comes out flat on this table here, so that you've established a good flat face. And so when you use this machine, there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind to where it's always a safe operation. Number one, you want to take the piece of wood that you're going to run over the joiner. We'll use this piece of walnut as an example. And you're going to want to put it down and adjust the fence left to right to the size of the piece. And so we've got it adjusted here, and you lock it down. That way, when you run the piece over the blades, there's no exposed knives for you to potentially cut yourself on. So that's a real important safety feature of, that you want to employ when you're using this machine to keep yourself as safe as possible. It's not a good idea to ever run a piece like this and to leave multiple inches of blade exposed, because it would be very easy for your hand to slip and get cut very badly on this machine. The other thing that you want to do with this machine, and with most machines, is you want to keep it waxed. And that way the piece of wood slides very easily and it gives you a nice smooth cut. It doesn't do any good for these machines to get rusty and then be very stiff and coarse, and then you run it over and it's bouncing. It's not going to give you a good clean face. So you always want to keep it waxed, which is simple as applying a very light coat of paste wax on there, letting it dry, and then buffing it off with a rag, which I can show you momentarily. But for right now, yeah, this is the machine that you want to start with for solid wood, is to get a good flat face. And so when you do that with solid wood, you've got some decisions to make. You want to take a look at the wood and see if it's cupped, bowed, what it's doing, because when it comes from the lumber yard, it's in rough shape like this. As you can see, it's been drawn on, and that's fine. All that's going to come off. But it's really hard to tell exactly what the grain is doing, because when you do run this over the joiner, you do, as the cutter heads turn this way, you want the grain to be running that direction so you don't get called what is called tear out. And so what you really want to do is take a look at the edge, and as you can see, the grain is running downhill like this. So ideally what we would do is we would run the piece through like this so that the blade is going the same direction as the grain, and we don't get a lot of nasty tear out on the board. It should make a nice smooth cut. But the other main thing that you have to keep in mind is you want to sight down this board like this, and you want to make sure that the board is cupped like this and not the other way, because this machine wants to cut it, and so if you have a seesaw effect, you'll just keep recreating that by doing this. So you really want the board to be contacting on 2 points, as opposed to, like as you can see here, it's not moving, it'll make a good smooth pass. But on this side, it's kind of rocking a little bit, and it creates a seesaw effect. It is possible to flatten it that way, but it just makes it more difficult, and so you really want to examine that and make sure that it sits nice and smooth, as flat as possible, to get yourself a nice joint across there.